Hello everyone, welcome in. I figured I would share with you this really interesting video that I found on YouTube. This channel is Dr. Chris Featherstone. He is explaining neonaticide, and I realized I had spent so much time focusing on their defense of denial of pregnancy that I didn't even focus on what she's charged with, which was this murder, essentially, neonaticide. I was, oh my goodness, blown away. I was pretty shook when I heard his description of neonaticide. Listen carefully, please. Let me know if this reminds you of anyone or perfectly explains the situation we are discussing when it comes to Alexee Trevizo. Without further ado, let's listen to Dr. Chris Featherstone. You can find him on YouTube if you search at Dr. Chris Featherstone. He has other interesting videos, and this video was really informative. So let's take a look.
Her midsection noticeably became larger, with photos of her cheerleading just weeks before giving birth. Complaining about back pain, Alexee Trevizo went to the hospital with her mother. However, Trevizo goes into labor, runs to the bathroom, and gives birth to the child. It did not take long for suspicion to arise, as a hospital worker informed an officer of what Trevizo did in the bathroom. The autopsy report shows that the cause of death is entrapment or asphyxia from oxygen deprivation, and the manner of death is homicide. Since this occurred within 24 hours, this is a case of neonaticide. The hallmark example of neonaticide is that the newborn is unwanted, which causes the woman to give birth alone and proceed to kill the newborn via non-weapon methods, such as suffocation, strangulation, or drowning, with suffocation and strangulation being the most common methods.
I'm just going to pause it there really quick. That really just brought me back to reality in this case, and so bone chilling when he puts it very plainly about it was because this baby was unwanted. Further, after he is done discussing this, we won't watch the whole 17 minutes because he includes a lot of footage of Mama Rosa over here, and she is so frustrating and annoying, and I think he picked out really good clips of her to make that case. And if anyone wants me to do a video reacting to Rosa, we can, but she literally infuriates me, and it would be like torture, but I would do it for you guys. So he has great information in the beginning of this so far. We're only a minute and 11 seconds in, and just catalog everything he's saying, because later in this video we will discuss her motive, what I think her motive is, and I think this explanation of neonaticide really helps narrow that down. Let's keep going.
In Trevizo's case, the intentionality of wrapping the newborn in trash bags to make sure there would be no chance of vitality, along with concealing this act and refusing to notify any person in the hospital that this occurred, does present a very difficult case for her. Women who commit neonaticide generally have made no plans for the birth. Neither have they made plans for the care of their child. Throughout gestation, the pregnancy is often concealed by the mother from both family and friends, and a prominent feature during this period is massive denial.
Okay, so that's where I found this interesting because, of course, her defense is talking about denial of pregnancy. Well, I guess what they're leaving out for us is that that is just a small portion of the overall act that has happened, and not all denial of pregnancy cases end in neonaticide. Her denial, it is seeming, is based out of a distaste for having a child, for a no desire for the child. And that is rather than what I think we can all imagine in other denial of pregnancy cases where maybe the circumstances surrounding this person are extremely traumatic and they just don't have the ability to grasp the idea, but they don't end up killing their baby, right? They just don't do anything until the baby comes out and then now there's a baby, right? Or women who legitimately don't know for some other medical reason. So, he's about to talk about something very interesting about the community of denial, and that's what I found interesting as well. So, let's keep going.
Was not crying or messy.
This denial can be so powerful that even the biological manifestations of the pregnancy may be affected.
Wow.
The denial of the pregnancy is not just limited to the mother, but a community of denial, which also includes the parents of the mother and also the boyfriend.
Wow.
Trevizo's main legal approach is that she did not know about the pregnancy. While this could be true, it is highly unlikely statistically. Given the multiple signs and symptoms of pregnancy, especially in the third term, which factors such as weight gain, amenorrhea, or the absence of menstrual periods, as well as fetal movement, the chances of a woman being completely unaware of her pregnancy, or at the very least having a desire to get checked out medically, are extremely rare.
See, that is interesting to hear from the mouth of what could be considered a possible expert, right? I'm sure he's not going to be called in this case as the expert for this case, but when the state calls an expert, they will likely testify to such things. Like it's very rare. Whereas if you've seen the interviews with Gary Mitchell, Alexee's attorney, he is spinning those statistics and making it sound like 1 in 2,000 don't even know they're pregnant. Well, can we break that down? When do they know they're pregnant? So let's keep going.
Research shows that 0.0004 pregnancies reach labor without the woman being aware that she is pregnant. That is 1 in 2,455 cases. Additionally,
okay, I guess that answers my question. So her attorney, I believe, was using those same statistics. So that means they do reach all the way to pregnancy without supposedly have ever known.
The fact that the hospital staff discovered the asphyxiated child rather than Trevizo informing them that she just delivered a child aligns with neonaticide statistics, in which the majority of cases happen with the woman going through labor, then murders the infant within close proximity to others without disturbing anyone nor calling for help.
Wow. That's literally the most exact definition of what Alexee did that I've ever heard. So it's safe to say an expert can testify to those facts on the stand, and they're going to have to get a real good non-neonaticide, anti-neonaticide expert to refute all the facts that, like, I'm guaranteeing they're going to be quoting studies and everything that led to the facts that this doctor, Chris Featherstone, is presenting to us, right? So I find that mind-blowing that in these cases, the women literally give birth near everyone else and can conceal it, and no one ever knows, and they dispose of the baby and just go on like nothing ever happened. That blows my mind, because we've all been questioning why wouldn't she just call for help if she really didn't know she was pregnant and didn't want the baby? Well, I guess this explains it. That it's a textbook neonaticide action, I guess. And I would have never known that until I saw this video.
Trevizo's response to her mother after the hospital staff informed her about finding the baby was,
We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. It came out and we didn't know.
even if the baby was stillborn, it is still the legal responsibility for the mother to report the birth occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it results in the charge of concealing a birth, which could lead to imprisonment. Trevizo's mother showed both eerie as well as aggressive behavior during the times at the hospital, as
Sorry, that just makes me laugh. Eerie and aggressive behavior. Those are two amazing descriptions that I had not put into her, and it really does sum up Rosa. I think he goes on from here to explain her behavior, and once he starts getting into Rosa's body cam footage, I'll move on to why I think some of this explains her motive.
as well as during the interactions with the authorities.
Alexee, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth. What did you do to it?
I need your, obviously need your permission to transfer her for medical. She's
19.
Oh, you're right.
But she is a student too.
I'm the charge nurse here. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months? Nothing was crying. Lexi, have you watched the news of the girls that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail? Nothing was crying.
Chilling.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Okay, I guess we go into this now. Okay, so somewhere else he says in this video, maybe it's towards the end. Let me see.
Could this behavior be commonplace to how she treats her daughter? Regarding neonaticide, emotional isolation and fear of social and family disappointment are key factors in the decision making of the mother. Could the high achievements that Trevizo exhibited in school and other activities be a result of the pressures of her mother, which could lead her to feel embarrassed of her pregnancy due to its possible effects on her career path? Despite this possibly being a major factor in the case, it is still the responsibility of Trevizo, legally, to inform the medical staff that she just delivered a child, and the concealment is very damaging to her case. What are your thoughts on this Trevizo case?
All right, so that's basically everything from Dr. Chris Featherstone that I wanted to show you. Amazing video. Shout out to his channel. Go ahead and subscribe to him if you like this kind of content. He has given the most concise and direct breakdown of what Alexee has done. It says here he's a forensic psychologist, so he understands and knows these dealings in and out, and it seems like he could be a very great resource depending on whatever cases he talks about. And so, since I am not a medical professional, I am a lowly paralegal, my questions for everything going on here is, could these be her possible motives? Like he stated there in the end, sometimes pressure from social standing and being seen as different than who they've shown everyone they are, disappointing everyone, can be factors. Personally, my belief is her motive leads more to number one, and the rest fall under there. Social standing, the shame, not being popular, not being able to be a cheerleader, possibly not being able to finish out your school year in the typical fashion, right? In my opinion, her motive is she wanted her storybook fairy tale life, which included being a cheerleader, dating the athlete, going to college, graduating from college and getting good jobs, marrying her high school sweetheart, and maybe after all of that, having kids. This means that one of the most useful witnesses that the state has would be Devin. We'll move on to that in just a moment. I believe this is more than enough motive for the jury to understand what and why she did these things. I believe when you sum up Alexee as to who she is and what she was doing for the whole last year, she wanted her life to continue on as normal despite the circumstances for the living being inside of her body. The thought that it was ever a living being didn't occur to her as long as her needs and wants were being met. And I believe that if you can walk the jury through that, you'll get a pretty solid guilty verdict. When I say that this implicates Devin a whole lot, it's because he was obviously the one closest to her the whole time she was pregnant. No pun intended. He was the one closest to her because he got her pregnant, so literally they were close. But further than that, he seemed to have the most contact, the most communication. The moms look at him in the hospital room when questioning his knowledge of Alexee's pain level. He knows more than her own mom does about when the pain started and everything like that. So, with that being said, again, I'm not a prosecutor, but I am tasked with making interrogatory lists and deposition lists, and sometimes we formulate way more questions than we ever use, and we whittle them down to the most strategic questions to get the information that we're trying to get. So I just came up with a quick couple of questions for Devin that you could use in a deposition with him on the stand, who knows, to get the information that we want that shows this motive, that Alexee was never interested in having a baby, doing the right thing by this baby, and just wanted to continue on her life as normal. Number one, prior to January 27, 2023, how long into the future did you and the defendant discuss when it came into your relationship? Right? Hopefully, if he's under oath, he'd tell the truth, because almost every relationship talks about their future together. She's probably mentioned what she wants in a wedding, how many kids they want, when they want to have kids, where they want to live. All of those things are relevant. Number two, when you discussed the future, what specifically did you talk about? Like all the things I just mentioned. When you talked about life after college, did you ever discuss marriage and children? When you and the defendant discussed children, what did you say? And obviously that's me assuming he's going to say they discussed children. If he literally on the stand says that they never talked about having kids, that's just as weird and bad for him. So, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be like, what? Teenagers who are in a relationship don't talk about their future and their desires and their wants and all that kind of stuff. They actually play house more than anyone, I'd say. You know what I mean? And so, for lack of a better term, sorry. Okay. When you and the defendant discussed children, what did you say? Very important in my opinion. When do you want children? Asking Devin. Have you ever made the defendant aware of that fact? And that question would follow, of course, if he said he wanted them when he's 30, if he said he wants them when he's 25, if he says he never wants children, if he said he wanted them at 19, like when they were having this kid, like this baby. That's all relevant. So we'd want to know that, because if Devin, part of her storybook fairy tale life, didn't want children until he was 30 with a solid career and owning a house and having savings account, all the things that most people who are afraid to have a baby would like to have before they do that. That's all implicating her motive, that she wants to keep this boyfriend, she wants to keep everything normal, she doesn't want this baby because, of course, he doesn't want the baby, right? So, have you ever made the defendant aware of that fact, whenever he says he wants children? It would be really weird, again, if they say never ask questions you don't know the answer to. Well, I can almost assume, unless he's trying to lie, he's not going to say, I told her I want kids right now, that I'd love to be a 20-year-old college student with just babies, That's just so not realistic. And so I'm pretty sure if he was lying on the stand about that or anything, the jury's going to see right through that. And that's saying that he'd have the balls to lie. Anyways, did the defendant share your sentiment in not wanting children until later in life? And that's obviously assuming if he tells us that, yes, I said I want kids when I'm 30, I've told Alexee that. And so then you finally ask, did she share that sentiment? Did Alexee want kids earlier or after? When did she never want kids? Did she want to be a career person? These are all questions that obviously the prosecution is going to have way more information than I have and is going to be able to formulate a very strategic line of questioning for whatever his deposition is. But I think they are going to want to bolster their claim of neonaticide. And now, since we have heard from Dr. Chris Featherstone about the usual goings on when it comes to neonaticide, I think we can kind of see this case coming together just a little bit more as far as not having to worry so much. I know it'll be a battle of the experts, but in reality, excuse me, in reality, this Dr. Chris Featherstone laid down this laid down this information in such a phenomenal way that it seems almost like maybe the expert witnesses on the state side are going to kick some major butt here, because the facts and the science actually are on our side. I haven't seen anything come out any medical examiners or anything like that talking about the whole plot holes that possibly could be in the autopsy. If I do find any information about that, I will be sharing it and making a video as well. But other than them completely getting the autopsy thrown out and not being able to prove that the baby was alive at all, I really see this trial going in the favor of the state and Alexee being found guilty. All right, thank you so much if you stuck around this far. I know this has been a long one, but there was a lot of good information coming out from Dr. Chris Featherstone, and I was loving opining on it. So, thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave them down below. I love the conversation. I love talking with you all, and I will see you in the next video. It's been your girl Friday. Okay, bye.